be stubborn. Follow your passion.
What up, you guys? I'm Ellen Kabak and you're watching an episode of Lives Disrupted. Today we're interviewing Bebop Gresta. He's the chairman and co-founder of Hyperloop Transportation Technology, and he has such a success story from his teenage years to where he is now. I can't wait for you to listen to his story and the way that he wants to change not only the transportation system but the world in general. So I read a little bit about your biography and I was interested to know more about your interest in technology from an early age.
Yeah.
Back in Italy, yeah.
So my father bought this computer that was 9, and he bought a keyboard, and he put both of them in a room on the upper floor of our house. And he said, do whatever you want, but don't touch the computer and the keyboard.
Okay.
And that became my obsession. At the beginning, I was just copying the computer list and seeing what was happening. And for me, it was magic. I was inputting these comments. And by magic, if you write RUN, run, the result come up in the screen. And for me, it was like, wow, this is magic. And then I started to understand how to modify this list to actually make what I want. And that was for me incredible. And when my father discovered this, I was already 12. And he understood that I was knowing more than him. So we traded something. He was sending me to do a professional course to a local IBM shop. In exchange, I was teaching him computer and also programming what he wanted because he needed a software to do his accountancy.
Okay.
So we did this deal, and I was all of a sudden continue to go to school. And when school is finished, I was doing this course on informatics. At the time, couple of years ago, there was no informatics school. It was the first one really at the beginning. It was in the 90s. And I became a programmer. A multinational company that was interested to have a programmer that knew about graphics and database asked to this IBM shop if he knew anyone. And he said, no, but we have this kid that is a little bit, strange, but he knows about database and graphics. And I did it. And I became a programmer. I was 14, very young. 1 year later, I became...
So going to school?
Going to school, they picked me up with a car with the drivers of the owner, do 60 kilometers to go to this multinational company, and I started to program for a real company.
Insane.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Wow.
And they treat me like the mascot, the little kid. I've had engineers working for me to do things. And I didn't really speak English, but the same year they sent me at their expenses to US to learn English. The little problem was that they sent me to San Bernardino. For them, it's not exactly Los Angeles, it's the ghetto of Los Angeles. Imagine in the 90s, this kid sent to a summer school in San Bernardino.
And you were like, is this what it is?
Well, no, for me it was Disneyland because I was in the middle of the ghetto, basically in a gang, going to school with all these rappers. The rap was starting, they were dancing hip hop. That's where I get passionate. And I was also playing piano, right? Okay. So, and I learned English like this. When I came back to Italy, the reality of the fact, this experience gave me a little overview of music, dancing, hip hop, and this started to grow into me. So with the money I was doing with the multinational company, I started to buy instruments, do my own little records, loops. I bought the first Akai S950 that is a sampler. It was very complicated, but I do music with that.
It's something that struck me also when I moved to California. I realized that it really opened my artistic and creative side.
Yes.
Because you're surrounded by so many artists, you know, who want to be out there, who want to be in the entertainment world. That is really inspiring.
That's amazing. And it's like going back to the concept of Renaissance, when you have science and art that was in the same person. Leonardo da Vinci was a scientist, he was an artist.
That's right.
That's why, and it's very important that in my job right now, is that to bring this message to the young generation that you can be a scientist, but also dress cool, be an artist, because art and science is the same thing. You know why they split it? Because in the 15th century, when these artists and scientists was working and doing art, the main contractor was the church. And when these guys started to study that probably the earth wasn't in the center of the universe, but it was a little bit different of the story of the church, and they started to tell the truth about science, church doesn't like it. So they had to choose, you want to be an artist or a scientist. And that's why now we have this separation of the two. But in reality, we need to stop this bullshit and go back to real meaning of science. There is creation. There is art.
And even when I introduced myself to you earlier, I was like,
who am I?
I was like, this is so interesting that you switch from one to the other, because in my head it's so different.
But I didn't switch to anything. I was always the same person. And I was, after that experience of programmer, I've had the chance to create a record, and one famous DJ in Italy produced me, and he went in the top 10 chart. And I left my programming to actually do my music career. I did 21 records, and several of them hit the top 10 chart.
It's like you were designed for success with everything that should, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
How did you even explain that? Because when you look at, for example, your past compared to other kids your age in your school, you know, like born in the same neighborhood, it's quite unusual.
I've always been different, and I always been strange. I always say to kids and people that ask me, you know, what is the most important characteristic to have to be successful? I think be strange. Be not for the sake of, not dress strange. Be different. Find your own blue ocean where everybody are doing the same thing. Do something different. You know, even if you are in a sector that is most conservative, that's the biggest opportunity that you have to actually innovate and to, you know, come out. Imagine that I meet prime ministers. I met, you know, the prime minister of almost all the civilized countries right now. I'm talking with Modi, you know, with the prime minister of India, to, you know, several other, you know, very important politicians, and I'm always the same. You know, I don't need to wear differently or behave different. It's me. I'm Bebop, and people accepted who I am because I have the courage to actually, you know, be and live how I want. And this is an important message, I think, that we need to give to every kids and person and scientist and everyone that wants to do a career right now. We are living in an amazing world where we can have choices, and the most important thing is to have the passion to live and to decide what to do based on your inner soul. And
I love that.
And I think that's why you become successful.
And something that I've noticed, and that's why, you know, I'm obsessed with turning points, is that I've noticed that a lot of people actually go with the flow for the first years of their lives until maybe reaching 25, 35, somewhere there, and then they have this existential crisis where, like, well, all of this was actually the pressure of society, of my family, of my girlfriend, and this is not me. And so something happens in their lives, and they're like, okay, here's who I am, here's what I want, and I'm gonna do this. you know. And it sounds like for you haven't pretended, you haven't like felt that pressure.
Let's say I took out the pressure, because when someone else or something else was trying to decide for me, I said no. And I tried to really live every single moment focusing on the journey. You know, yes, it's important, the objective. There's a very beautiful poet, Italian poet, that was talking, Italo Calvino, was talking about three different people that travels. The first person is the tourist. When he travels somewhere, he's not really traveling. You know why? Because he programmed everything, and he's trying to replicate what he programmed.
He has like a checklist, and
There's
then
a checklist,
we go there.
right? This is the first person. There's a second person that is the migrant. He goes somewhere, but he's already in his mind is to go back. He knows that we will go back. So the entire journey is focused on when we will go.
So he's not fully...
he's not living the journey. And then the third one is the traveler, the adventurer. This guy or girl starts and leaves the journey.
Right.
And that's the most important part, the adventure. And when he goes to destination, that, yes, okay, that's a moment, but that's not, it's the finisher of the experience. It's not, the entire journey is the mission, right? I think that the most important thing in your life is to be a traveler, is to be someone that enjoys every minute and tries to really live the moment.
And that's what life is, you know, in the end. It reminds me of the book of Paulo Coelho.
Alchemist.
That's exactly it.
Yes.
He gets to the treasure,
yes.
he loses it, and he's like, you know what?
What
I
the
had
fuck?
such an incredible journey. That was my treasure.
Can we say what the fuck? That's my ghetto thing coming out.
Exactly. Oh my god.
I know. I'm trying to take it happen.
You gotta be you. You gotta be.
Gotta be you.
Gotta be me.
So you started working in music, and you were also a TV host, right? And you produced.
At a certain point, they asked me to host a show on video games, and that was really the beginning. It was '95. Nobody was talking even about video games in the magazines. Imagine to have a show in video games,
right.
a daily show.
Yeah.
It was super fun. We were dematerializing there was a competition in the studio, and the loser were getting dematerialized inside the hall. We were throwing people inside the walls. It was so funny. And it was a special effect where we were actually doing this. And it was quite successful. And MTV asked me to actually join their team. They were starting MTV Italy. Okay. So I was one of the first employees of MTV Italy, and we started to create the TV shows in Italian. That was a complete new thing. In the 90s, MTV was a different thing. It was very fun. We were creating shows that was crazy. No sense makes sense in MTV. So imagine we had a budget and create, go. You know, if it wasn't making sense, it was good.
Oh, I love it.
So much fun. We've had a show that was pretending to do a talk show, pulling the legs of the real talk shows. You know, everybody was trying to do talk show about young people, the young generation, and nobody understood anything about the young generation.
Exactly.
So we were imitating them, trying to copy us, basically. And we had a crowd that was paid crowd. So
paid to laugh and applaud.
So it was all about that. It was like the Simpsons, where we were doing something in the backdrop was happening crazy, and celebrities appearing and disappearing without any meaning. You know, it was a lot of fun, and we were also talking about very important topics. You know, every episode we were having the chance to talk very seriously about very important topics like drug, sex, you know. And in a way, there was actually very fun, but also we call it communication of the third level. McLuhan was talking about it. When you finish to see the TV show, you're not the same person.
Right.
So McLuhan says that there are several levels of communication. The first level is when we talk, I talk, you receive the communication. This is the first level.
Yeah.
There's a second level where I talk and you get something else. To give you an example, I can say, you know, he's very beautiful. Or I can say, oh, yeah, he's very beautiful. Right?
Yeah.
I'm saying something, but I say exactly the opposite, right? The third level of communication is if I tell you something or I show you something that you change. For example, if your viewer right now, we turn this camera and they see that everything I'm saying is written in a prompter. Now, all of a sudden, they say, what the fuck, man? You're freaking, you know, you don't believe me anymore.
Yes, yes.
So I didn't do anything, but they changed, right? So we're trying to do this kind of shows where people really change inside.
Right.
And we're teaching them how to be critics about what they see. That was beautiful.
And I also noticed that you were involved in different charities.
Yeah.
And
That came later when I, from MTV, created my own company called Bebop. And this went successful very quickly. I was creating the first what you call cross-media agency, because we were a sort of content creation agency that was able also to create content for the internet. 98, this exploded, and I sold my company for a lot of money.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was 28 with a lot of money, and I did two things. One very cool thing was investing in an incubator. It was very early because nobody was doing this in Italy. And we launched more than 70 companies, me and my business partner. And we created a company that then we listed in a stock exchange. And it's still there after 15 years. It's super successful. I'm super happy. I went back to Italy to see that the stock is up. They created amazing things and it survived even if I left the company. So that's beautiful, I think. The biggest satisfaction for an entrepreneur is to see that your company survives even after you.
Absolutely.
And that was one. And the second one, I started to really think about doing something bigger and for humanity. And I started the Curates project. For me, it was a big topic because I have friends that had been touched by this, and I don't think we do enough cure, because nobody gives a shit about curing AIDS, because it's a business of the century. They have a big incentive to have people ill of AIDS, because then they give you a pill every day and you're fucked for your entire life.
The pharmaceutical industry is all
bad. And I would be stupid to say that the pharmaceutical industry is bad because they could be my client. So I will not say that they're fucked up and they're assholes. And I will not say it because, you know, it would be stupid for me to say it, right? But they're bad people. I will not say if I would say it, but I'm not saying that they're morons and stupid.
Yeah. You could.
I could say it. No, you're not cutting it. Anyway,
but
so,
you know, like that's exactly it. So you had everything, right? So you had the power, you had the money, you had the fame, and it's that when you sense that. So when your friend got sick, did you think, okay, like there's more, like that's actually what matters?
Yes. So first I realized that you know, when you have money, then you start to say, then so what, right? You know, are you happy? Am I happy? Not really, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, yes, you can buy more things, but then after the third thing that you buy, what's the point? Then you started to really think about, you know, what is your legacy?
Yes.
You know, why am I doing this? You know, and then I started to do this. And at a certain point, I decided to move out from Italy because Italy doesn't allow me really to I knew that if I didn't go out from Italy, I would have created my own cage. You know. Yeah. After a while, I was really successful, but I was surrounded by people telling me how great I am, and it's, but am I growing? What did I learn today?
Right.
What did I contribute for you? Nothing.
Yes.
And after 6 months of this, I said, that's how I am, right? That's done. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I said, fuck it, no.
I get it.
I had the courage to go to my partners and said, I always had the dream to go back to America, but really live there, you know, after my experience there. And then I said, guys, I'm going to US. And he said, okay, why are you called the board for this? When are you coming back? And I was like, maybe never.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, I had a giant fight against me, but then they realized, at the beginning there was like, it's a bebop thing. It will come back. Yeah, fuck it, it's not. But then they realized I was serious. After a year, I wasn't coming back. Then it was, we have a problem, right? And and in LA, at first I was in San Francisco, then I didn't like San Francisco. It was too self-referential. I couldn't go out, have a dinner, or they were coming to you and pitching you a startup. And I was
of course, yeah, absolutely.
Really, I mean, So, especially with my background, and knowing that I had
So people knew you were...
Especially, there's a lot of Italian community in San Francisco, so basically it was the same to be in Italy. People come to you, and pitch you startups. So I'm not here for that. And then I moved to LA. LA was really important for me because that's where I met my business partner and co-founder, Del Calvo, in an event, it's called Meta. And it's a very cool event that every Saturday they do speeches. It's organized by Kev Rotowski. He's a genius and an amazing networker. I've been invited there, and in this meeting, I have this German guy coming at me, and he speaks perfect Italian. And he said to me, you're Bebop? Yes. I have this startup, and at the beginning when he said I have a startup, I was like, oh, for shit, no. Not a startup. And then he said, yeah, have you heard about the Hyperloop? And I read an article a couple of months before. Yeah. It was some months after Elon Musk published the white paper. And he said, I'm the one doing it. And I was like, what? And I was so arrogant to think that I knew everything about startups. So you do the classical series of questions, like, how much money have you raised? How much people are working for you? What's the business plan, your revenue model? And this guy very candidly was like, well, no, I haven't raised money because I don't need money. And I was like, you want to build the Hyperloop, you don't need money? No, because I'm raising brain. I have a new model that is called crowdsourcing. So every time they work for me, every hour, I give them stock options. And I was like, crowdsourcing? For me, it was like, this is my world, and you're like out there in the planet Alpha, like, I liquidated him. I was very arrogant. I said, listen, it's not gonna happen. You're delusional. Sorry, it's the worst speech ever heard. I like the Hyperloop concept. You will be failing. Sorry, bye. That was no reaction, right?
But you never know, right? Like it's
well, this guy was amazing because he sent me the documents, and then in several other methods, because we were part of this group. He started to talk to me, very humble, about his idea, and we started to get into a little bit in my mind until I finally decided to read the documents that he sent me, just to tell him why I wasn't investing, and I wasn't interested. And I was fascinated because in this document there was a series of scientists from all over the world. There was an analysis of Elon Musk's white paper. Already the title was intriguing because who's analyzing Elon Musk white paper? Who are these guys?
The fuck is Elon Musk anyway?
Right? And the funny thing was that there was all these people writing from different parts of the world. They were commenting from each chapter. They were telling if it was doable, why, with like formulas or documents attached, or and if it wasn't doable, why, with a solution. And there were people from NASA, SpaceX, Tesla, Boeing, Aerospace, Lockheed Martin, MIT, the biggest brains on the planet.
Wow.
So I was like,
and they saw the potential, so you started to like.
And they were not only saying it's doable, but they were saying, oh, by the way, if you need my help, I'm in. A guy that was one of the founder of the Apollo mission in NASA. Like, what the fuck? The guy that invented the passive levitation system inside Lawrence Livermore lab, where Einstein created the atomic bomb.
Right.
So I was like, this is bullshit or something that is amazing. So I started a due diligence, started to call these people. There were numbers, you know, and I discovered the world. For a couple of months, I didn't do anything else. I was like just calling these people. It was an obsession, like, you know. Then I called back Dirk, and I said, Dirk, I have to apologize because first, you're probably the person that I underestimated most. And I think you're crazy, but I'm probably crazier than you because I figured out that it's doable. And you're tapping into something that is bigger than the Hyperloop. It's a new generation of companies that can change everything. You know, right there, you probably have more than $7 million in engineering without raising a penny. They're all these brains. And not only that, if you try to hire these people, they will never leave NASA, Tesla, this. But you invented a system to involve them by just asking them 10 hours a week of part-time job when they want. Because do you want 10 hours of the best scientists in the planet or a month of 8 hours a day of a mediocre person? Right?
Imagine that.
Right? Fuck it. You don't need a company anymore. You invented a new concept, right? So, and we were in business. I said, you know, by the way, I think you need this organization. I started to propose all this. That's where I think, you know, my experience of 20 years of startups kick in. And I saw myself immediately, you know, because there was no structure, and then, you know, we have to organize the contracts and all the, you know, that's where I jumped in, and we partnered, we founded the new, you know, what is now a movement.
And so for you, was it more than just disrupting the transportation system?
Yeah, for me, I saw the real possibility to leave to humanity something that is not only a fast way to move people. You know, what people doesn't understand about the Hyperloop, that is not about speed. Yeah, we go at almost the speed of sound, but this is not the most interesting part. You can foresee humanity in the future that is the system of producing energy is so efficient that can repay the entire infrastructure and maintenance. So we can get out of the enslavement of subsidies, because a lot of people doesn't know, but every infrastructure on the ground is based on subsidies. So the states has to pay constant subsidies to every rail,
that's
highway.
what we were discussing earlier, exactly.
Yes.
Most people don't know that.
They don't know, but the crazy thing is that who's paying this? Us, with the taxes, with all. And this fucked up part is that we are basing our planet, entire planet, on consumption. So we are basing, because if we don't consume, that doesn't generate the profits. It's a model that it's going to self-destruct the planet, because we are basing an economy of unlimited resources in a planet that has limited resources. This is stupidity. So I think we have first concrete chance to get rid of this model. And Hyperloop is the first of a series of generational companies that can change this. How exciting
get
is that?
inspired by that and then create their own, you know.
Yes. And out there, you have some viewer of you that is the next Bill Gates that hear this, and now he has to start to think how to change food, education, housing. We can change everything.
Yeah, we can change anything.
Using the same model, we can put together the best minds, and we have the technology to do that. I give you an example. We are producing food for 14 billion people. We are 7 billion, and 2 billion are starving. This is fucked up. You know, it's fucked up. We can fix it right now. Just redistributing resources and using the technology to actually fix these problems. So that's why I'm so passionate, because we have a clock that is ticking down, and when it goes to zero, we are fucked.
It's over.
So we don't have time now to bullshit. We need to act. And I think transportation is the first of a series of topics and sectors that we need to disrupt.
And even for you, your lifestyle, you are applying this mindset to everything that you do, right? So you were telling me about your house and the way that you create your own food and your own energy.
We live in a sustainable city that is completely generating self-generating power. We are producing our own food. We have hydroponics, so we can develop vertical foods. I invite everybody to do it. Buy a little vertical garden. You can have all your food, you know, strawberries, we have berries, we have all the salad. I became vegetarian because it's too good. It's super awesome. Trust me, guys. And look, I'm super in shape. I'm getting muscle.
I don't eat meat either, so I'm
part
of the family.
And you're feeling so good, you know, you're super energetic, and I can work 15 hours a day and I don't feel it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about transhumanism?
All right. I love it. So, transhumanism, for the people that doesn't know, is the capability of using technology to enhance humanity. Okay. We don't have to fear technology. I think technology is a tool that we are inventing to augment us. And we started with little pieces like our teeth or our arms when we break it and so on. But then we can go on and actually use it to actually improve us. I think we are transitioning from a phase where we were Homo sapiens into a new phase that is called Homo evolutus.
Okay.
And in this phase, the robots, the computer, the artificial intelligence will be at our service to actually enhance and also take out, but also can take out all the crazy and inhuman jobs and activities that the human shouldn't be. Human is an amazing machine that should be dedicated to two things. The first, the most important one is love.
I was about to guess love, yes.
Love is so important. Every kind of love. Guys, love. Right now, go. Not only fuck, it's an expression of love. Can I say it? Okay. But love your family, your people around you. We are love machines. So that's important. I think if we start this love revolution, and not like the love revolution of the 70s.
Peace and love,
you know, peace and love is really about, you know, respecting and start to really to appreciate. I think if everybody could be put in a position of love, we will stop all the problems in mind.
And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, by when you mentioned that people should follow their heart and actually do things that they love, like follow their passions. It starts from there. This
is the first most important thing. The second one is creation. We are amazing. As an organism, we're the only one capable of real creation. And that's what distinguishes us to anything else out there. So creation is what we should do. So we will lose, I have bad news, Forrester says we will lose 40% of the total jobs worldwide within 2050. And don't believe the people that says, no, this will be replaced by, no, fuck it. It's not anymore possible to have the jobs, and it's good. It's amazing. That's exactly why we invented robots and computer. take out all this bullshit. We don't need to work anymore. We can create a society that guarantees the basic needs to everybody. And then we can start creation and all this bullshit about competition. We can still compete. We can compete in creation. We compete, you know, and we can evolve using different models. You know, the stupid bullshit about money. You know, money is nothing. There's no value, and it's something that creates only division. And it's an antiquated technology that has to be disappearing. You know, we don't need money anymore. It's you know,
not even cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency is an expression that is evolving, the concept of money, but it's a transition technology. Cryptocurrency will allow us, you know, blockchain is more interesting because in blockchain will allow us to run our services in a free, decentralized and beautiful way. That is why beautiful, because it takes back in control, putting again humans in the center. But I don't believe in the concept even of in the future, probably we'll lose also the concept of property. Look at the kids, they don't want to own the car, they don't need it, right? So in the same thing, we will not own houses, we will not own, and finally we stop this bullshit about ownership, you know. It's just, you know, the resources will be, when we have abundance, you know, when we have a status of abundance in the planet, then ownership doesn't make any sense, right? It will be functional. It would be based on optimization and functional, and it would be amazing. Honestly, you know, it's all about creation. And then if I am better and better entertainment, I can still compete and grow and have you know, more than someone else. But it's not so unequal. It's not so crazy about creating a society, because every time the society evolves, all the problem that we have, like overpopulation or discrimination, disappears all of a sudden. You know, when knowledge take over, all these problems fade out. You know, so that's interesting.
We're so worried about owning things, getting more power, more money.
Of course,
that we take it from others, and we don't want to have it.
Of course. So why we fear? We put walls because we fear the other. They're stealing from us, right? What if there's nothing more to steal? Then maybe, you know what? You know, when you do a DNA test, I gave to all my directors at Christmas a DNA kit.
Oh yeah, you get such a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call, because now, all of a sudden, you're
check. Not just American.
You freaking discover that you have a 1% African, you know, a piece of Jewish, a piece of Arab, a piece of Native American, Italian, German, Scottish, and then you say, oh, what the fuck? Maybe, you know, the race doesn't make any sense. And it's beautiful because I have more than 800 people, let's say, working from 42 countries, right? And it's beautiful because this company, have you seen? There's no one, it's a United Colors of Benetton. I have China, Italy, English, British, Romanian. It's amazing. And the beautiful thing about our company is that the concept of race has disappeared. You know, I want this to be at the planetary level. You know, and where is this happening? In the kids. It's a new generation. That's where I'm so positive about the future, because I see them, and everywhere I go, I've been in more than 60 countries, I see the same thing. It's changing. They are kind of sharing the same thing, you know, and they're all mixed, and they're, you know, they're better than us, and they have access to information, so you can't push it to them. Try to see anything. They just Google it. Complicated to manage team like this, because you have to be very careful with everything you say. You know, in my generation, they say something I believe in. No, now they have to really tell the truth, because they freaking know it. Right? And I love to be in this transition. And I love also that this new generation abandoned a lot of the crazy idols and point of reference that my generation had. If you think about it, I don't want to discard anything, but you know, I was following as a icon, I don't know, Michael Jackson, this guy.
I was in love with him.
Of course, but if you think about it as a model, that's not really exactly a stable person to follow. Like, you know, he had, and he died in a very bad way, right?
Yeah.
So I see this new generation, and now their new idols are Mark Zuckerberg, you know, Steve Jobs, you know, they are the people that are inspired, you know, and I'm surprised every time I go in a nation, there are people waiting for us. Yeah. We did an inauguration in Brazil. It was 1,300 people, and the majority of them were below 30 years old. It seemed like a rock concert. I was like, this is an inauguration of a research and development center. Yeah. I would never, when I was 20, where do we go to have fun? Let's go to the inauguration of the research and development center.
Well, you still have a lot of people obsessed with the Kardashians, for example.
Okay, fine. Yeah. But for every Kardashian, I have another one that is in love with Elon Musk and SpaceX. So, fuck it. You know? Okay.
And maybe both.
And in 10 years, probably Kardashian will be considered stupid, you know, and maybe, you know. Yeah. So.
And they're also getting involved in the political scene also a little bit. So you know.
I think this wave of American politics is the last really, you know, exasperation of the system that is dying, honestly, you know. I think, I want to do political for a second. Trump is very useful right now because it's, you know, showing a world, you know, that is going to collapse. You know. It's going to collapse, and that's, you know, about selfishness, division, and it's me first, and you know, and then it's only you because you're alone.
In the end, you go to bed, you're alone.
Right, you know, and the only wall that has sense is the one that protects you, and is not, you know, and we need to do exactly the opposite. It's integration, it's sharing. We are all in the same planet. This is a beautiful thing. We have one of the NASA scientists that is our global ambassador. That is Yvonne Kiva. And she told me something that is amazing. She told me, you know, when you go up in space, there's something that happened to every single astronaut that went there.
When you see the Earth.
When you go look back to Earth. NASA studied it and they find the overview effect. There's also a documentary, I could suggest you guys to see it. No matter where are you coming from, if you're Chinese, you know, Iranian, US or Italian, when you're up there and you look back on the Earth, every single astronaut described the same thing. It's like a breathtaking moment where you just see this little ball that is suspended in air with a very tiny layer of ozone separating the entire humanity from outer space. And you kind of stay there thinking, oh my God, you know, it's so fragile. Yeah. You know? And this moment, everyone that comes back, it changed, right? It changed forever. So what I'm saying is that when I wish all of us can go to space and look at Earth, because we should really realize that we are all one tribe, sharing the same destiny in this little thing that is Earth. And Elon is trying to actually expand this, you know, bringing us to other planets, you know, and humanity will do it, you know, because that's our destiny. But I think
not for everyone,
since we are here, we need to start to share this vision and to work all together. And I think what we are doing with the Hyperloop is exactly this: is putting together the best mind to actually start this process.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And yeah.
So if you had one message to pass on to others in one sentence, what would it be?
Be stubborn. Follow your passion.
I love that. We're gonna conclude on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was so good. I wanted to cry at some point.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
This
I'm
is so beautiful. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
But you're amazing.
It was good. Good try.
You're amazing. Yeah. It's
No,
beautiful.
I have a great team. I have an amazing team, and you know, and I feel the pressure to do it as fast as we can because you know, we need this, right?
Mhm.
But
You're gonna change the world. This is crazy.
Right?
This is so big, you know. And I can see how things are gonna evolve now. And with the help of technology, like, you know, I feel so much more hopeful for humanity.
But I always say, be energy positive, okay? Be, you know, this doesn't have to bring you down. It has to bring you up, you know?
No, it's tears are happening.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You made me cry now, so stop it.
It's so inspiring.
Every one of us has a kind of story.
Yes.
I'm so, if only we can touch enough people, can change humanity forever, you know?
I know, that's
But
what
it's
I'm
happening.
trying to do too, my way.
It's happening.
By sharing messages like yours, you know?
It's happening, trust me. You know, going around the world, I at the beginning I was really desperate because I say, you know, we will never be able to do it. Now that we're building it, I say,
It's
fuck
real,
it. It's
yeah.
real.
You
We're
can
doing
touch
it.
you know? Come on and hop on the loop with us. If you want to stay in the loop, follow me. Come on now to the loop. So yeah, let's get disruptive. Boom.